In memory of Andrew Small, 1891 to 2003. Small family is living history at 107. Andrew Small resides at the Kennedy Rehab Center in Schofield. He joined an elite club 3 years ago when he reached 104. We believe he is the oldest living veteran in the state at the age of 107. Billy Small, his son, has graciously invited us in for a chat. He is proud of his father's past and optimistic of his future. Andrew Small was born on December 26, 1891 in eastern Austria. Common boundary changes made life unpleasant for the family. The Russians took my older brother and put him to work in Siberia. 3 or 4 times they came through and burned the village and were terrible to women. It was a disorganized country. The penalty for stealing horses was severe and thieves were beaten to death if caught. Andrew never owned a pair of shoes until he reached 16 and would often go from house to house to warm his feet. Andrew at 17 took odd jobs, scything hay and pasturing cows until he decided to leave the country. In Holland, he worked on a herring boat, jumping ship when it came to the United States. He ended up in Chicago. Needing a good job and new clothes, he worked in a tannery for a while. Whenever he went home, a cloud of flies would follow him because he stunk so bad, Billy said. Andrew enlisted in the Army in 1915. At the age of 22, he saw soldiers with clean clothes and food in their bellies. Rather than going hungry, he joined the Army. Andrew received his naturalization papers in 1918 in Greenville, South Carolina. Billy remembers his dad's stories of General John J. Pershing and his skirmish in Mexico after the famed bandit Pancho Villa. General Pershing always rode a big white horse and called his lieutenants shavetails. Billy said, the regiment followed the bandit 200 miles into Mexico to retrieve 3 stolen machine guns. Windstorms in the desert would leave bruises, and snakes often burrowed under your blankets, Billy says. The troop finally found Pancho Villa, but in the ensuing skirmish, he escaped. Only 2 of the machine guns were recovered. Back in 1915, soldiers were paid in real silver and gold nuggets. A common game the soldiers played with each other was to bribe a fellow soldier into taking his gold across the desert for half the amount. Sounds great, except for carrying his own pack and ration too. They wouldn't want the money after hiking in Mexico, Billy says, chuckling at his dad's story. Usually there were no towns to spend it anyway. He served in Mexico from March 1916 to April 1917, marching through San Antonio, Mexico to Rancho San Miguel de San Carlos. Small wasn't able to follow his regiment off to Europe in World War I the following year because of his Austrian heritage. During the war, his regiment was wiped out, and Andrew feels it is a mixed blessing for him. He became sergeant after completing 4 years of service and furloughed to the Army Reserve. Honorably discharged in 1920, he returned to Chicago to become one of the Cubs' biggest fans. He was given a ticket which was only 25 cents and saw Babe Ruth play, Billy says. He left Chicago with his wife Mary and 9-year-old son Bill to live in Mosinee. They bought their first tractor in 1937 when wages were only $1 an hour. Andrew took part in the gas rationing in Mosinee in World War II. The Smalls lived on a farm until 1962 to retire, then moved back to Chicago in 1972. His wife Mary passed away in 1982, leaving Andrew alone. His eyesight grew poor and moved into a veteran's home in Chicago. Then his son transferred him to Heritage Haven in Schofield. Now he resides at Kennedy Park, where Billy and his wife Dorothy can visit with him. His grandson Ronald also spends time with him, sharing both the bonds of love and war. Andrew received his Medal of Honor on October 31st, 1993. The 75th anniversary commemorative WW1 medal is inscripted with a famous WW1 American memorial in Saint-Nazaire, France. They came on wings of eagles. Dedicated to all veterans from 1918 to 1993, Andrew is now part of a VFW Post 8733 in Mosinee with his son Billy and grandson Ronald. Small joined the Centurion Club in 1996. The party at the Kennedy Park Medical Center in Schofield gave this centurion opportunity to share with others the many stories of his life. He believes the key to his longevity has been his strict eating habits and walking the halls every day. Billy Small ends our chat with a firm handshake and a smile. Andrew Small died January 1st, 2003 at age 111.